Russian soldiers tear across open dirt fields on motorcycles, engines screaming, wheels spitting clouds of dust. Around them, artillery shells slam into the earth, throwing up fountains of soil and fire. These kamikaze-style charges, supported by drones circling above, have become a signature of Moscow's grinding push at the deadly junction between Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk. What was once an invasion spearheaded by tanks and heavy armor has mutated into something far more chaotic. Now, the battlefield is ruled by relentless drone barrages, brutal close-quarters infantry fights, and reckless suicide assaults that test the limits of human endurance. In this sector, the skies belong to Ukraine. Their drones transform a 10 to 15 kilometer stretch near the zero line into a lethal kill zone. For Ukrainian troops, the front is an endless trial of stamina and ingenuity against an enemy that wastes its own men with terrifying ease. Under the cover of night, Drunya drives a pickup truck crammed with fresh FPV drones and explosives. His mission? Resupply an FPV bomber team from the Unmanned Systems Battalion of Ukraine's 110th Separate Mechanized Brigade. Riding shotgun, a soldier grips his rifle tightly, scanning the darkness above, ready to pull the trigger on any incoming drone. Along the route, they pass convoys of trucks and armored vehicles, many jury-rigged with steel cages and bolted plates, giving them the grim, improvised look of something out of Mad Max. These vehicles carry electronic warfare systems to fend off enemy drones, but the crude armor has become essential under the constant threat from the skies. If the truck ever stops, even for a moment, leave everything. Get under a tree and take cover, Drunya warns. A few minutes later, the headlights snap off, replaced by the green glow of night vision goggles. This is where the danger peaks. One mistake, and Russian drones will spot them. The path is a rough, broken dirt track. The pickup lurches violently, helmets smashing into the roof as it rattles forward. On both sides of the road, blackened craters still smolder from a recent Russian glide bomb strike. At last, they reach a position just a few kilometers from the zero line. Supplies are thrown out in seconds, and everyone sprints for the safety of the trenches. Moments later, the radio crackles. The driver was ambushed by a Russian drone and barely survived. The soldiers admit, the most nerve-wracking moment is always the drop-off and pickup, when they're most exposed. Inside the dugout, Bohdan, an FPV drone pilot, braces for another mission. Outside, Russian troops are mounting a meat grinder-style assault, hurling waves of infantry across open ground toward Ukrainian-held villages. Their chance of survival is almost zero, Bohdan says coldly. They send drug addicts, convicts, men drowning in debt. That's who we're fighting. Andriy sets up a range extender for Bohdan, coordinating the feed, while Serhiy arms an FPV drone just above ground. Bohdan slips on his goggles and launches. They're throwing away expendable infantry, just so a Mavic drone can mark our artillery positions, he mutters, guiding the buzzing warhead away from the dugout. Bohdan explains that after the bloody battle for Avdiivka, lost to Russia in February 2024, Kyiv has doubled down on expanding drone production. If we had more artillery, we wouldn't have needed drones so much, he says, but together, they're perfect. Drones scout, artillery strikes. Artillery can smash sectors, but it can't chase someone into a basement. Bohdan reflects on Ukraine's shift in strategy after the brutal battle for Avdiivka, which Russia captured in February 2024. If we had more artillery, drones wouldn't have been so critical, he says, but together, they complement each other perfectly. Drones scout, artillery crushes. Artillery can hammer entire sectors, but it can't chase a man into a basement. He smirks grimly. In forests, drones are nearly useless. But artillery? It drives people out like smoke from a hive. By early afternoon, Bodin has already inflicted heavy losses, his drones cutting down scattered Russian infantrymen. Then the battlefield shifts. The low, guttural roar of engines echoes across the plain. Russian motorcycle assaults begin. The tension in the dugout rises like a wire pulled taut. Soldiers adjust their rifles, eyes narrowing. Just days before, a Russian motorcyclist had broken through, bursting straight into their dugout. The Ukrainians opened fire at point-blank range, ending him instantly. Now, everyone knows the threat is real. Overhead, a reconnaissance team's Mavic drone streams back shaky footage. It spots a poorly camouflaged Russian Starlink terminal, almost certainly feeding data to an enemy UAV team. Bodin seizes the chance. He launches an FPV, guiding it in. The warhead detonates, shattering the terminal in a flash of fire. Moments later, the drone feed shows them. Russian riders tearing across dirt fields, kicking up towering plumes of dust as they close the distance. 5 kilometers, Andriy mutters, his voice sharp, eyes never leaving the monitor. If the signal stays strong, we'll manage. The thunder of artillery erupts. Explosions swallow the fields, scattering smoke across the horizon, the drone feed blurring in static haze. From above, the landscape resembles the pit of hell. Charred craters, blackened soil, flames licking upward into the air. Amid the chaos, Bodin spots movement. A lone Russian soldier, sprinting hard through the drifting smoke, desperate to use the haze as cover. The feed flickers, signal cutting in and out, but Bodin steadies his breathing, circling, tightening the drone's arc until the target is framed. The moment the path clears, Bodin dives. The FPV howls downward, accelerating like a predator locking onto prey. Outside, Serhiy rushes to ready another drone, detonator primed. Bodin doesn't hesitate. Even before the explosion fades from the goggles, he redirects his focus back toward the motorcycles, while Andriy barks coordinates, steering him toward the narrow alleys of a nearby village where the bikers are funneling in. The strike is clean. 2 Russians drop instantly. The rest scatter in panic. Some sprint into houses, slamming doors behind them. Others vanish into the tree line, swallowed by the woods. The hunt continues, Bodin weaving drones through streets and over hedgerows. Then, sudden silence. The command center feed cuts out, likely jammed by Russian electronic warfare. Bodin loops back desperately, but the FPV's battery drains dry. The mission is aborted. Andriy shakes his head. If they've already entered the village, there are only 2 outcomes. Either our guys fight them off house by house, or we launch a counterattack and retake it. Ukrainian defenders remain dug in among the homes, bracing for the sweep they know is coming. They'll clear it room by room, Andriy explains, his tone grim. If they take fire, they'll either shoot back, retreat, or die. For our infantry, it's the same. Either hold until the last man, or fall back. Bodin reflects bitterly on the difference between killing up close and at a distance. With a rifle, you see them fall. You hear their last breath, their scream. But when you're hovering 6 kilometers away, it's silent. Just pixels disappearing on a screen. Through the night, sleep is impossible. The position is hammered by relentless artillery fire, each blast shaking the dugout walls. Russian storm assaults roll in waves, one after another, a tide that never seems to end. They're taking ground, Andriy mutters, exhaustion in his voice. But the cost? No army can afford it. By now, estimates put Russian losses at over 220,000 dead. and the number continues climbing without pause. To 10-5. The night grinds on with no relief. The Ukrainian dugout rattles under constant artillery strikes, every blast showering dirt and dust from above. Russian forces keep launching storm assaults in relentless waves, columns of men thrown again and again against fortified positions. Andriy shakes his head. "They're gaining ground," he says, his voice flat with fatigue. "But the losses? No army can sustain this." The tally of Russian dead has already surpassed 220,000, and the count is still rising. Finally, after days without rest, the order comes to rotate. Soldiers pack what little they have, weapons and gear slung over weary shoulders. They wait in silence for the call over the radio. Engines approach. The relief crew arrives, spilling from their truck, tossing fresh supplies onto the ground. The exchange is sharp, fast, and practiced. Then the familiar nerve-shredding sound cuts through the air, the angry buzz of an FPV drone. Instantly, every soldier reacts. Rifles are yanked up, fingers twitch on triggers. Heartbeats thunder in helmets. For a moment, the dugout seems seconds away from being ripped apart. But the drone only passes overhead, vanishing into the night. Relief is fleeting, replaced by urgency. Without wasting another second, the exhausted men pile into the pickup truck. The road ahead is a death zone. Every bend, every shadow could hide an ambush. They grip their rifles tight, eyes scanning the darkness as the vehicle barrels forward through the broken earth. The kill zone has claimed countless others before. Tonight, it is their turn to gamble with fate. The driver keeps the lights off, navigating only by the faint glow of night vision. The truck bucks and jerks violently, helmets smashing against the ceiling as it speeds along. Outside the windows, the land is scarred with blackened craters, some still smoking faintly. Every kilometer feels like a gauntlet. Every shadow could be the last. Over the radio, fragmented chatter confirms Russian units are probing nearby. Motorcycle scouts, small infantry squads pushing forward under cover of darkness. Somewhere out there, enemy drones are hunting. Every buzzing insect in the night feels like it could be the sound of an FPV diving toward them. In the dugout they left behind, Bowden and his team regroup, preparing fresh drones. The cycle never ends. Scout, strike, survive. He knows the Russians will not stop. They will keep sending men, whether convicts, addicts, or unwilling recruits, until the fields are covered in bodies. They don't care how many die, Bowden mutters. It's just numbers to them. But Ukraine has learned to adapt. Drones, artillery, and infantry, all bound together in a desperate rhythm of survival. Bowden slips his goggles back on, hands steady despite the fatigue. A fresh FPV hums to life in his grip. Beyond the trench walls, the low thunder of motorcycles begins again. Dust plumes rise against the horizon as another Russian biker squad advances. Bowden launches the drone, streaking out into the night. Andriy tracks positions, calling out coordinates as the FPV cuts low over the fields. Explosions flicker across the horizon where artillery strikes. Smoke twists upward, half masking the advancing shapes. On Bowden's feed, the riders come into sharp focus. He tilts the drone downward, weaving through the chaos, eyes narrowing as the signal wavers. One mistake, and the FPV could vanish into static, wasted. Instead, he pushes harder, steadying the view until a target is locked. The detonation rips through the screen. One rider is gone in an instant, swallowed by fire and dirt. The others scatter, engines screaming as they swerve off course. Some dive into shallow trenches. Others break toward the tree line. Bowden already has another drone in the air, relentless, refusing to let the assault regroup. For every squad that charges, Ukraine meets them with steel and fire. Still, the pressure never lifts. Russian forces continue to throw wave after wave into the grinder, willing to lose dozens, even hundreds, for a single advance. "It's endless," Serhiy whispers, sweat dripping from his brow, like fighting shadows that never stop coming. Night doesn't bring silence. Russian artillery keeps pounding the fields, each blast shaking the trenches. Motorcycle squads appear again, roaring across the dark terrain, only to be torn apart by drones and artillery fire. The assaults feel endless. Bowden and his team work in cycles. Launch, strike, reload. Every FPV is another chance to break the Russian wave. "They throw men away like sand," he mutters, launching again. Andrei's voice cuts through the static, guiding each strike. A drone locks onto a biker. The feed jolts, then flames erupt, the target erased. Others scatter into houses and tree lines. Some vanish under the cover of smoke, forcing Bowden to pull back when batteries die or signals jam. Inside the dugout, fatigue weighs on everyone, yet no one sleeps. Each hour brings more bombardment, more attempts to breach the line. Serhiy readies drones in silence, hands blackened with grease and powder. For Ukraine's defenders, survival is measured in seconds. Drop-offs and pickups are the most dangerous moments, where exposure can mean death. Still, the rhythm continues. Resupply, defend, strike. As dawn approaches, the battlefield lies scarred and smoking. Russia pushes forward yard by yard, but at a price no army can sustain. Ukraine holds, for now, while the toll on both sides grows heavier with every passing day.